That's better. We'll call tonight's meeting to order. I'm going to ask George to read some comments.
In compliance with the Massachusetts open meeting law, please be advised that the City of Chicopee is videotaping this meeting for broadcast on our City Access channel. Is anyone audio or videotaping this meeting or any part of this meeting? If so, please raise your hand. If so, please identify yourself with name and address, whether you are audio or videotaping this meeting or any part of it.
Thank you. I'd ask we just stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and we'll commence. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and welcome. Good evening. My name is Richard Koss, and I'm the mayor of the City of Chicopee, and as such, I am conducting tonight's initial ascertainment hearing in my role as statutory issuing authority. Before going further, let me introduce members of the city's Cable Advisory Committee who are in attendance here this evening. John Dumont, who's chair, if you raise your hand, John. George Moreau, vice chair. Thomas Barden. Joel McAuliffe. Joseph Zook could not make it tonight. Michael Zaski. And now notice that tonight's meeting has been published in the Republican newspaper. And tonight's hearing is also being broadcast live on Chicopee Schools Community Television, Channel 5, and will be available online in the coming days. Tonight's hearing is mandated by the renewal provisions of the Federal Cable Act. The current cable television license held by Charter Communications will expire on November 30, 2014. The city is currently involved in the federally required ascertainment process. The purpose of tonight's hearing is to, 1, identify future cable-related needs and interest of the Chicopee community, and 2, review the performance of Charter under its current cable television license. Once the city has completed gathering the community input, it will forward the results to Charter in what amounts to a request for proposal, or RFP. This RFP will basically inform Charter of the kinds of services and facilities that the city expects will be provided during any possible renewal term. Thus, the testimony that you will be given this evening is very important, and I encourage all of you to speak candidly and specifically about any cable-related matters. You must come up and provide testimony in order for your views to count and be part of the official record. So please testify. When you come up to speak, please give your name and address. Because this is an ascertainment hearing for the city, I ask that you not pose direct questions for Charter to answer. All testimony and/or inquiries should be directed to me and the panel as part of this hearing process. Finally, I'd like to clarify that while this is an ascertainment hearing on cable television matters, there are 2 related subjects over which, as issuing authority, I have no authority to regulate. The first is the rates that Charter charges for its services. And the second is the commercial programming that Charter chooses to show on its cable systems. I realize that these are 2 important issues for cable subscribers. While people are certainly free to comment on these matters this evening, it's important for everyone to realize that I cannot mandate the specific rates that Charter can charge, nor can I mandate the commercial programming that Charter carries on its Chicopee cable system. With these introductory comments, I would now like to call and ask if there are anyone in the audience who would like to comment. Afterwards, we will have comments from the city's Cable Advisory Committee to make their presentation. So at this time, I'm going to open up the hearing to comments and testimony from the public. Please come up to the microphone to speak. I do have a sign-up list. I may call from this list. After I complete this list, I'll look for people who may have come a little bit later and have not signed up to come to the microphone and speak. Looks like the first person who signed is Jim Rochella. Jim, if you're here, if you could come to the mic, identify yourself with your name and address, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Jim Rochella, 124 Ingham Street. I'll be brief. The first one was a comment I made to Joel tonight about the survey, and you can answer that later on. When I went online, there's some questions about what kind of program we would like to see. But when we checked off a box, you couldn't check a second or third box, which is kind of unfortunate. You'd have to go back in and repeat the whole process. It would be nice if you could give multiple choices there. Number two, I've lived down the other end of the state in a condo for a while, and Comcast was giving seniors free boxes and free TV for the free channels that are out there. I don't know what it's called. I remember it was a box that you could get. They wouldn't charge you for it. You could take any of the free movies that were there if you were a senior. No charge, no cost at all, no installation cost. It'd be nice to see something like that in the contract in the future, too. On schedules, one of the things that my pet peeve is schedules change and channels come and go and nobody tells you. We have a lot of digital channels right now, but I don't have a schedule for them. I never received one, so it'd be nice whenever they made a change, excuse me, they'd update us. Okay. And the final one is just something that maybe you can look at a little harder. We're being taxed on top of the taxes we pay charter right now. There was an agreement to give money to our telecommunication department for the school every year. But in that same agreement, Mayor, I think it was Mayor Goyette signed, Charter has the right to increase their fees to absorb that cost of the money they give to the school department. So what we're doing is we're paying a tax to Charter, and we're paying a second tax to Charter when we end up putting that money in. So I would like to see that change somehow, where if Charter is really going to be a good citizen and be part of our community, they pay for it 100% off the top. And if they want to bury it later on somehow, be my guess. But I don't like seeing my rates go up every year because we give money to our school department. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Jim. Frank Sepio.
Frank Sepio from 18 McKinley Avenue. I have two hats in the city, but I'm going to leave the other hat from disabilities on the side, technically. My wife is deaf, and she would come actually to hear and watch the council meetings, but because she cannot understand them, she stays home. But she wants to watch on TV. She still can't see what is being said. We have the same problem. She was saying that captioning for like our graduations, we've had 2 grandchildren already graduate. We could hear nothing about it. We've got a third one coming up, but I figured that's a little too soon to get anything done about it. Basically, I know about a little over a dozen people that are deaf, hard of hearing, from local groups, and they've all expressed the same interest that Charter might be able to help putting closed captioning in. I don't know who has Watertown, but they just did that in Watertown. So it's not difficult to do. The other thing is I'm on the end of a cable line. And if I hit the button for the schedule, I have to wait. Well, nothing's happening. You hit the button again, and up it comes, down it goes, because I hit the button twice. So that's awful slow. Again, on the closed captioning, by FCC rules, you have to pass through any closed captioning that comes in from one of the channels. We have on the schedule the coding for closed captioning, the CC. We go to some of those channels, it's not there. We've also had a problem where you'd be sitting there getting your closed captioning. Last 15 minutes, it disappears. So you don't know what's on it's happened basically if you're deaf. You're left in the blind. But hopefully we can get something to get going on that and help a lot of the people. I mean, even the elderly. if, rather than turn up the TV volume, sit there and read. We've had counselors complain because there was no audio. Closed captioning, you sit there and read. You know what's going on. So it serves more than one. It's not just the disabled or the hearing impaired who are deaf, hard of hearing. So it helps both sides. And in fact, that if I wanted, I can go down all the way into getting schools. But this hopefully would, you guys are interested. And you need some ideas. I think I have a few. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Now, the names are handwritten, so bear with me. Paul R. Arasti. Acosta, I'm sorry, Paul.
That's okay. My name is Paul Acosta. I lived in the city of Chicopee for 15 years. Chicopee has a lot of wonderful
Bill,
things to do here.
Could you move the mic down for him so you can get a chance?
How's this better?
Thank you.
You were loud before, Paul, but good job.
Like I was saying, there's a lot of wonderful things to do in this great city. However, the cable system has a lot to be desired. They keep taking channels away from us and increasing fees, which people are disgusted with. I know that you can't say anything about this contract. I've been talking to people, but that's in my letter, so I'm going to skip that. Older people who are on fixed incomes cannot absorb these rate increases. When asked about these increases with the public relations section of this cable company, you're treated like, if you do not like it, too bad. They soon will be installing digital boxes at $5 each. It's time to, well, I thought it was time to negotiate. You can't do that. This is something wrong with the system and no one to answer to. I know what the mayor's office and the city council are going to do. I would like to know what the mayor's office and the city council are going to do about this matter. The mayor's motto was, we can do better. We are waiting. There are alternatives for older people to look into. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Should I present the letter or just
Yep,
go,
Yes, please.
go on
Yes.
record?
Greg?
Ooh.
Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
Ron or Maureen, or either or both? Thank you.
Yeah, it'd be a little better. Okay, my name is Marion Zolkowitz, and I live on 27 Falmouth Road in Chicopee. The bills, every month that comes in, there's a little bit extra tacked on. I'm getting sick of it. Real sick of it. I've lived here for 59 years, and my personal feeling, I'm disgusted, and I think it's time we had a change. Thank you.
Ron, would you want to speak? You are signed up. Or did she speak for you? Thank you. Rose Blaze?
Good evening, Mayor, councilors, and commission.
Rose?
Instant replay. Good
Thank you.
evening, Mayor, councilors, and commissioners. My name is Rose Blaze, and I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Telecommunications Technology Services for the Chicopee Public Schools. And we run the taping of the meetings with our TV production van. And over the past 10 years, especially 5 years, we have experienced intermittent service that is discouraging for some of the counselors and school committee people that are participating in the live meetings. And I just want it to be known that the fiber iNet is something that could improve those services. The copper iNet that we distribute services on now is very old, and we have to communicate with the charter people to get repairs, And most of the time, we don't know if there's a service line problem until right before you go live on a meeting. And that can be very discouraged for the Chicopee residents that are looking to view the meetings, and anything that the commission and the mayor can do to improve those services, we would appreciate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. Joe Wytek.
My name is Joe Wytek. I live at 18 Putting Lane, Chicopee. We've been having trouble for 2 or 3 years off and on with the cable. They come out, change a box, it'd be all right for a while. So on April 25th, the technician came out because my wife was having trouble with her TV during the week. That day he showed up. There was the problem with the TV was happening, so we got to see what was going on. So he went outside, checked the line, said we had a bad line, and it would have to be replaced. And we have an underground line, so that would take more time. He offered to put in a temporary line, but he would have had to put a screw hook into the siding of the house, and the house was 2 years old. I said no. So I told my wife that what was going on, and he said, well, it'll probably take till the summer to get it done because they're very busy. So I asked him to call a supervisor. The supervisor came over in 10 minutes. In the meantime, my wife's on a phone talking to someone at Charter and telling me she wasn't happy. And she came out with the phone and handed it to the manager, supervisor, and they came to agreement that they would repair the line the following week, May 2nd. So day before May 2nd, technician comes out and he's going to check the line with a meter, some kind of meter that can tell what's broken. He was there about an hour, and he said he couldn't get his equipment to work. The battery was dead. He would be back Sunday. So in the meantime, Friday came, the next day, and nobody showed up. So my wife called the cable company, and they said, well, somebody was out there and said that it was repaired. Somebody was out at 7 o'clock in the morning, Friday, May 2nd. And we told them, well, it's not repaired. It's the same cable. There's actually, you can see the cut in the cable. It's a foot off the ground. Plus, dig safe hadn't been out. We knew that had to be done. And so the following Monday, I called the mayor's office, hoping they had somebody could contact, because we were at a standoff about was it fixed, not fixed. They didn't want to send anybody out to check it again. So the mayor, I talked to somebody at the mayor's office, and he told us that they don't have any contact. They can't get a hold of anybody. So then I called the number that's on the survey sheet, which I had, and I left the message and never heard anything. And all of a sudden today, truck shows up 1:30 this afternoon, another boom truck. I tell my wife, I'm getting ready to go out, I'm doing something, and she's waiting to see if this guy comes out of the truck, the technician. In about 5 minutes, he finally comes out because she wanted to talk to him. And finally comes out, turns the lights on, his warning lights, puts his hat on, goes back to the truck, shuts the lights off, and leaves. So we don't know what happened today. So my wife calls a cable company again, gets, I guess, the number 2 and as far as complaints or whatever, and they're telling us that, yeah, you were scheduled to have it done May 5th. And that was a few days back, last week, and that last Monday, I believe. And nobody showed up. And so he promised to call us back today, but nobody called, so that's where we're at. So thanks for your time.
Thank you, Joe. Robert Allen.
Good evening, gentlemen, Mayor, and the committee that's going to be taking things under advisement. To be a little bit different, the cable companies, I would like to know how much of a voice they're going to have. Is the internet going to be neutral? internet neutral, which means that it's going to be controlled by the government, or is it going to stay open? That's very important. And then really what happens to the present charter people who are now working? Are they going to follow charter someplace where these hundreds or thousands of people are going? I don't know. That's the employment. Now, recently on NBC News, they mentioned the government, wherever they got the information, said they would like to reduce all these channels to 17, if they can. 17 channels. We have no control over the channels. We have no control over the prices. Charter cable is a business-related investment company in which the people behind them like to see profit every year. They need to bump up their income. It's natural. We can't comment on that, but as an example, when they started in Holyoke across the river, their prices were around $100. Now they're closer to $200. So I'll let someone else get in and speak, but the neutrality issue with the internet is very important. Keep the internet open. Don't go for this neutrality because it'll be government controlled. Thank you.
Thank you. Francis Riley.
Francis Riley, 111 Loomis Drive. I'm obviously retired now. I've been watching TV since 1954. The last few years now, my cable bill has gone from, we just have the basic cable, it's gone from $60 to $100. I cannot turn the television on without a commercial being on. If you watch TV Land, Bonanza, 40-year-old shows that were an hour, now they're an hour and 15 minutes. That's 15 more minutes of commercials. And who's making all the money? I mean, I've seen 12 commercials in a row every 15 minutes, to the point that it's really irritating to think how much we're paying. I don't want to pay. I want to watch television, not commercials. And I don't know, they already mentioned, we can't do nothing about that. But it makes the whole package irritating and disgusting for me. We end up sitting there turning off the sound when the commercials come on. So I don't know who's getting anywhere with it. But you probably can't do nothing, but I just wanted to come down and say it, that it's really disgusting to me, and it never was like this before, so that's all. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Rod. Are there any other members of the public that would like to make a comment that may have come in during the testimony period?
Do we have any reps from Charter?
Hi, Mayor Cuss. I was a little late. Forgot about the meeting. Number one, on a positive
Would you state
note,
your name and address
I'm
for the
sorry.
record?
Claire
Thank you.
Jim, and I live at 104 Johnson Road,
Thank you.
Chicopee. And on a positive note, I have never had a technician come into my home who wasn't responsible, pleasant to me, explained everything, and I would give him an A rating. And there was a woman, too, that came in, and she was very good. So now the negative. The negative is trying to speak to these people, whether it's being nice or not, or trying to be nice. It's very difficult. First of all, you're dealing with someone that's in Minnesota, which I had in the wintertime. She had a hard time explaining or finding out where I lived. The second thing is, I'm in the bundle. And so I started out probably about $98. So every first of the year, without any explanation or prior warning, You get your first bill February 1st and you look at it and you say, oh my God. And mine this year was $31 more. So I called them up and I tried to be very nice, tried to explain to him, could you explain to me what the problem is? Well, I can't give you back your rate unless you accept 5 channels. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you 15. No, we can't work like that, ma'am. But you have to take these 5 channels. So after about 5 minutes, I decided I'm not going to win this game. So, okay, you give me 5 channels, and they brought it down to maybe about $15. So now I'm paying $138.91 for the same stuff and the channels that I don't even look into. M2, and I could go on and on. So they've got to really look into their customer service. I don't think what the people are asking is that much, but it's got to be two-sided. And if they just put it down and listen and negotiate, I think you'd have a happy audience and everyone else would be very happy. Thank you.
Thanks, Mrs. Jim. Is there any other member of the public that would like to speak that had not signed up? We give you an opportunity now. And again, as a reminder, just state your name and address before commenting.
Sorry, I came in late. My name is Kathy Shea with a K, S-H-E-A. I live at 876 Chicopee Street. And I agree with everybody, that said things and stuff, because we need to get another cable company in here, or something different. Not the Dish or Direct or whatever, but something different, because the price is getting higher and higher, like someone said, and it's just ridiculous. And like the last person said, there's channels on there that we have to have, but we don't even watch them, and it really is. It's very frustrating. It's very discussing. And people on fixed incomes, I'm on a fixed income myself, and I have basic with the one override and stuff. And they moved, and they didn't even tell people, and it's hard for people that, don't have a car or take the bus. They didn't even tell people, but, thank goodness and stuff that our other mayor got us back over, and a lot of people still don't know that because they don't inform people that you can go to the old corner store to pay your bill, which is much more handier and stuff. But that's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Again, anyone else who would like to issue their comments or testimony from the public? Joe, if you'd like to speak. Yes, go ahead.
Hello, this is Robert Allen. I have one comment that I'd like to introduce is, am I correct by saying that whatever contract was negotiated with Charter is going to be transferred to Comcast? In other words, whatever agreement, whatever one does is going to be transferred to the new one?
Well, there was a press release to that effect that Comcast and Charter are switching and trading accounts, and it appears that way, but it hasn't been done yet. So we're dealing with Charter as of now.
We can comment on that.
And I think, that's all. That's not the purpose of this hearing tonight, but it appears that Charter and Comcast are trading different markets, and that we may wind up having this license being maintained by Comcast at some point. But that is not something that we're at this stage, and nor have confirmation that it's happening. There's a regulatory process that's very involved, apparently. So again, as we deal with the public having comments and testimony, anyone else, please come forward.
Michelle, 124 Ingham Street, Mayor, and people that are here. Listening to all this tonight, I wonder if I could ask a question. Has anybody again looked into, with our state-of-the-art schools here, why we're not running our own charter-type operation here in the city? It seems to me we've got the facilities, we've got everything we need. It's just something I hope this council will think about, because what I heard here, I take basic. I only pay like $50-something, $60 a month. I'm not too concerned with that part of it. I am concerned with the fact of the things I talked earlier about. But maybe it's time to look again at whether or not we as a city should be doing it. We've spent almost $200 million on 2 schools here. Surely within those confines, we've got the people and we've got the students that can get it off the ground for us. We're using our students already. I just hope that you'll think about that as you're going forward, too. I know they say it's prohibitive for cities and towns, but it may not be, and it may be a moneymaker, too, because if you take a look at all the people that are in the city that are on charter and multiply the rates they're paying, pretty good income coming into the city if we were running our own cable TV. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments or testimony from the public? And I remind everyone that we will take any written comments in for the viewing public as well as anyone here who has not spoken. If you'd like to, you can, and I'll remind you before we conclude. Frank?
One thing that I did forget, and my wife did remind me, is our screen service. When it comes in, we get a lot of pixelization. Everything turns into little box, so that it's very difficult to actually see anything. So the quality of the line coming in, like I said, I'm the last one on the leg, so we've been boosted and added new equipment on just to make our picture better, and it hasn't. So, hopefully we can get, like I said, I'm one of the originals, and it's probably still copper, and it's probably still copper from way back. And so if we get something done to get the lines upgraded, just going to the houses themselves. You got a fiber optic in the poles, doesn't mean any good that you've got cable or this is copper going to the house. So I just like to have them clean up the pixelization. I mean, it's very difficult to watch, but it's the other thing that we need that would make it more enjoyable to be able to watch TV. And on the one comment about paying, why do we have to pay for paid commercials? We have a half hour of someone paying charter to broadcast, and we're paying charter to watch it. So we've got to get something out of the deal besides having to watch something we don't want. So, thank you.
Any further members of the public who would like to offer comments or testimony? If not, I'd like to call on the Cable Advisory Committee. If anyone would make a presentation. Mr. Dumont?
Right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is John Dumont. I live at 20 Surrey Lane in Chicopee. I have several comments, and they relate to future contracts with Charter. I'd like to speak to these now. Number one, I think that Charter should be required to maintain a business office in Chicopee and to allow customers to pay bills, exchange equipment, and order needed services. They do have a business office currently, but we're now negotiating a new contract. And I want to make sure that in the provisions for that new contract, it stipulates that Charter should maintain that business office. Someone made a comment about the possible transfer of the license over to a future cable operator. If we put provisions in the current contract, we would expect any future cable operator to have to live up to those conditions. Point number two, that the Chicopee Public Schools Telecommunications Department should continue producing and telecasting public, educational, and governmental programming on the Chicopee cable television system through an equipment and grant provided by Charter Communications. That's in the current contract. I would like to see that continue in a future contract. The institutional network maintained by Charter Communications has frequent outages and is in need of replacement. This network is used by the Telecommunications Department to originate programming at remote locations throughout the city. A new fiber optic institutional network should be constructed and maintained by Charter in the new contract. The current network that we're using to originate programming from City Hall, from the school administration office, or from any remote locations that we televise from is a copper network that was built in the 1970s. So it is in need of replacement. It has current outages, as some of you know, if you've been watching some of the local programming. Charter Communications should provide on the subscriber network an additional high-definition channel with appropriate transmission and processing equipment for the Chicopee Public Schools Telecommunications Department that allows the transmission of high-definition local programming to subscribers. Many of you people who view the meetings at your home get the meetings in standard definition. This is the old transmission protocol that was used for many years. The Telecommunications Department, both in its mobile van and at the studio, currently have high-definition television equipment. So we are capable of transmitting high definition to the subscribers. Charter has not provided us with the appropriate equipment or a channel so that we can give you high-definition programming. That should be in the new contract. The Chicopee Public Schools Telecommunications Department should develop new community programming with content aimed at historical topics, art and culture, children's programming, and senior programming. This programming should be funded through Charter's franchise fee with the city. I'm off. Thank you.
Are there any other comments from other members of the advisory committee? Joel?
First off, I want to thank the city for providing this outlet for everybody to come and speak, counselors and the residents for coming to have your voices heard. This is an extremely important time in the city negotiating this contract, and the committee greatly appreciates your input. I want to take this opportunity to bring everybody up to speed. It's been talked about the Comcast potential merger there. That is a part of the deal with the Comcast-Time Warner merger. That is still waiting to receive federal approval. So before anything happens, that has to go through there first. It's still some time before Chicopee would merge with or be taken over by Comcast. And the expectation, as my colleague John said, is that Charter or Comcast, whoever that provider is, would honor the contract that's negotiated. So that's not really a concern on our end. With regards to what we have been looking into, I'll also go back to what John said. The iNet reliability in this city puts us at a risk. Every government meeting that's broadcasted on Channel 5, recorded in this city, is dependent on a coaxial iNet to allow that to be broadcasted live into your homes. We've seen it on multiple occasions go out because we're dealing with an iNet that's outdated, frankly. An iNet today should be rebuilt, and that's what we're looking to ask Charter to do with fiber, which will make it a high-definition channel. Right now, we downgrade our signal. We shoot our meetings, our sporting events, anything that's on Channel 5 in high definition at the highest resolution possible. When we send it to Charter, they downgrade it back into standard definition because they haven't provided the city with the technology possible to do that. That's something that's extremely important for this city. We shouldn't be using outdated technology, and that's what we're doing right now. We also would like to see an additional channel added so that we can add more programming to the city. Back years ago, there used to be 3 channels, and it's still reserved if you look on your cable guide. We'd like to see 3 channels, and possibly we've discussed keeping Channel 5 in both standard definition for those who have the older televisions and in high definition for those who have the newer technology and would prefer to see that channel in high definition. In addition to having the high definition, we'd like to see a menu or a schedule of what's going to be on Channel 5. If you look today, it just says local access programming. We'd like to know what's going to be aired so people have the ability to DVR, record those meetings if they would like to see that in the future, not have to wait for it to be broadcasted or put online. Some people don't have the ability to look online. We've mentioned how programming and pricing we're not able to negotiate those. We understand your frustration not being able to do that. We hear your concerns. We will relay them to Charter. While we don't have the ability to negotiate them, your voice certainly will be heard on those matters. Some of you have asked about bringing another competitor into the city. Chicopee doesn't have an exclusivity contract. Anybody who would like to could come into the city and compete with Charter. They've chosen not to do that. In good faith, Charter's done what they could. We're asking them to do more to make sure you have the highest quality, what we can do here for the city. And that's what we're going to recommend to the mayor, that we make some changes that are necessary and improve your overall cable experience for the residents of Chicopee. So thank all of you for coming. Thank you for having your voice heard, and we're going to do what we can to make this a better program for you.
Any other members of the cable? George?
Yes, we've been working very carefully with the school department and getting better communications. Now, for instance, these meetings that are being taped here and the meetings being taped at the school committee, we've had so many problems with those over the years. And the problems are the fact that the signal is on, the signal is off. The signal comes in good, the signal comes in bad. We are working with the cable people to try and get some new equipment. Now, son, if you look around, the equipment we have right in here is very outdated, very outdated. The equipment they have over in the school department, that's outdated. We've talked with the telecommunications department, Rose Blaze, and we found that a lot of the stuff in there is old stuff. Now, the cable company said that they were going to provide us with a lot of newer stuff at one point in time. And I don't know if this, whatever they got was the newer equipment or the older equipment, but we just didn't have the right kind of equipment. And I'd like to see the equipment changed and something done where we can have, you people are the ones that want to see these meetings. You want to see what's going on with your city government. And you can't see it very easily if 1 minute it's up, next minute the system is down, next minute you can't hear it, next minute you can hear it. We have to stop. It's just kind of like a big circle we're going around, and we're getting absolutely nowhere. We're chasing our tails, and we really don't know if we can catch up to our tails long enough to do anything about it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Michael Zaspy.
Good evening. Michael Zaski, resident at 24 Gilbert Avenue in Chicopee and a member of the Cable Television Advisory Committee. First of all, I just want to thank members of the public that joined us this evening to share their thoughts with us. And I want to say that as committee members, we certainly are listening. We have a very, very diverse group and a very skilled group of folks on our committee with a wide range of both technical and other leadership backgrounds, and so we understand a lot of the things that the residents are saying. And we are all, I think I can say, working very hard to consolidate that information and hopefully make a recommendation to the mayor for this RFP, if you will, that will go out to Charter. So we find this very informational. As a resident, I'd just like to say that, I also share some of the concerns that the members of the community brought up this evening. We all have had perhaps bad customer service experience from time to time, bad technical problems. At the same time, we all have had good experiences, I think. I certainly have had both good and bad from time to time. There's certainly room for improvement along a lot of areas. But some of the major points that Mr. Dumont brought up, I think, are things that we'll be focusing on as a committee. The INET, the institutional network, is a big item that's of concern to the city, and I think to the residents in this committee as well. Certainly we have in the city a telecommunications department that puts a lot of high-quality programming together, possibly more than any other community, and it means a lot to this city. And getting that programming delivered in a high-def format is important, and a reliable format is important. Certainly, I won't go through the entire list, but we've all read the existing license word for word. We meet weekly, virtually weekly, as a committee. We have been analyzing some of the things that are in that license, talking about how we might make recommendations to change them, just to improve the overall experience. I'd like to speak briefly on the competition idea that people have brought up, and we're not here necessarily to bash Charter or to say we want to kick Charter out. The idea of competition is very difficult, and I'm not going to take a side either way, but we have to recognize that it costs a lot of money to build out a cable television plant. As Joel mentioned, certainly any competitor can come in and try to compete with Charter, but nobody has, and probably for economic reasons. Just to build out a plant and hope to get subscribers is probably not practical. So this is our opportunity to negotiate with Charter, try to get a fair and balanced license that would serve the residents of the city well, while still being fair to Charter as a business. So that's what we all hope to do. And I think we all are open to your opinions. We'd like to have you all fill out the surveys that are online or available at other city offices. We're planning to read those and analyze those and distill that data down into some information that we can pass on. So thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Any other comments? Joseph came a little late. I didn't introduce you earlier. Joe, thank you for being part of the committee.
Joseph Chuck from 30 Peace Street in Chicopee, and I guess I could probably say that I'm probably the youngest person on this committee, but I thank Mayor Koss for inviting me to be part of it. Again, I also thank all of you for coming here today. Your comments are very important to all of us, and myself especially as a young person in the city. The idea of television and technology is something that obviously is very close to the young people, and I think I speak for some of the more younger audience that Charter has, and as well as some of the other comments that we've heard about customer service. It's very easy for a young person to be kind of pushed around when it comes to dealing with companies such as Charter, and I think it's important, as Mr. Dumont said, that we should continue to have a local facility that Charter maintains for customer service right here in our city, and if possible, potentially having two locations. I know one of the things that we were mentioning was when we were trying to put out all of our surveys and trying to figure out where to position the surveys. You know, we have a lot of people that are living around this section of Chicopee, but there's also Aldenville, and we have many different sections of the city, and it might be a good idea to maybe ask Charter to maintain two facilities for customer service. Another thing in regards to customer service, there's a part in the contract, the current contract, that states that Charter has to be responsible specifically to the mayor in conducting tests of the iNet that we were talking about, and you know, I don't know that it would be possible to require Charter to also maybe conduct tests of the consumers' cable lines throughout the city. I think that would be something important in order to kind of help some of the different issues that we have when we have to call them and ask them to come to our house when we have a problem. If there was a way to require them to test all of these different lines, a different section of the city, maybe twice a year or something like that, it would kind of alleviate some of the problems in dealing with somebody having to come out to the house at the last minute when the cable goes down. And one other thing that I wanted to mention was that there's a couple different ways that the city receives money from Charter through the contract, and one of them is a percentage, I believe, that's based on the amount of consumers that use Charter in the city. And the question is whether or not Charter is putting forth the correct amount of money based on the correct number of consumers, and possibly requiring them to publicly disclose that information of how many residents of our city use Charter, so that we can make sure that we're receiving the right amount of money from the company. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Yes, Mr. Riley, if you'd like to speak again.
I listened to a lot of improvements that you guys mentioned that you're going to ask Charter for. I'm sure they'd be very happy to add another $50 to my bill. the first thing in my mind is we don't want to raise the prices anymore, or whatever you're doing to this thing. And just one other comment: how is Charter versus Comcast in prices and services? Are they comparable? What are they switches? Are they the same? Because I myself, I don't want to see them keep raising the prices just because the high school did something with some wires that we don't even know what they're talking about. So got to keep the price where it is now. It's bad enough now.
Yes, Mr. Sir.
One item that I heard from
identify yourself. That was Mr.
Robert
Riley. Just your name again, please.
Robert Allen.
Yes, Mr.
Summit
Jones.
Avenue.
Yes, Mr. Jones.
I heard from a friend of mine in Holyoke that Comcast uses fiber optic to the houses. Okay, so I just wanted to inject that into your meeting. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public or the committee? If not, if there's a representative of Charter who would like to make a brief statement, you may do so now.
Good evening. My name is Heidi Vandenbroek. I'm the Senior Communications Manager for Charter Communications. I want to thank Mayor Koss. I want to thank the members of the Cable Advisory Committee. And I want to thank the residents of the city of Chicopee for coming out this evening. I heard a lot of issues coming on from the residents, and I took down copious notes from everybody. And I'm more than happy to sidebar with those folks afterwards that had a lot of issues with technical issues, with service issues, with billing issues. I can have someone from the office call you tomorrow and go over some of those issues with you, and have a technical representative come out to your house as well to go over any issues. I heard a number of things, and I also heard a number of things also from Mr. Scipio about closed captioning. We'll also look into that as well. So again, I'm happy to sidebar with those folks. Again, happy you came out this evening, and we want to make sure that you're happy with Charter and your services. We put a lot of money into our network, over $3 billion, so we want to make sure that you have the right, proper, in the services that you deserve here. So we're happy to be your service provider. We want to continue being your service provider, and we appreciate the time you've given us this evening. Again, I'm happy to answer those questions for those folks off sidebar, and again, take down more information and more notes on you, because we do want to make sure that when you leave this evening, you're happy with the services that we provide, because we're happy to be part of the city of Chicopee. We were located at 355 Front Street a year ago, and just to show our commitment to the city, we moved right around the corner at 560 Montgomery Street. We continue to have our services there. Our customer service center is there as well to handle any issues and needs there. So again, we're invested in the community. We're invested here in the city of Chicopee. We've also made community investments as well, and we are happy to be a provider here. So thank you for your time this evening.
Any other comments, Joe?
I just would ask you if you could please update the city and the residents on the possible change from Charter to Comcast. I know a lot of people are left in sort of a limbo and kind of a lot of questions about where we are on that front.
Right, yes. Our renewal process should not be affected by the Comcast Charter transaction, which will only take place following the completion of Comcast purchase of Time Warner. So again, we'll keep those abreast of the situation as it transpires and as information becomes available to us as well.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. If there's no further testimony, that would conclude tonight's public hearing. We will keep the meeting open to accept additional testimony. Interested parties are encouraged to submit written testimony on any renewal-related issue discussed tonight, or indeed regarding any cable-related issue. That written testimony or comments can be submitted to the mayor's office. Those comments should be sent to the mayor's office at City Hall, 17 Springfield Street, Chicopee, Mass. 01013. If you have any questions about this hearing or the cable television renewal process, please call the mayor's office at City Hall, 413-594-1500. Again, 413-594-1500. Thank you for attending tonight's public ascertainment hearing.
Any elected officials to speak?
Well, we could. I've asked if there was any comment, and no one offered, George. That's why I did it.
I'm sorry.
If any elected would want to talk, Councilor Zegarowski.
Just a couple of things. I didn't know if you wanted us. And I'm not sure on these things. I know we can't talk about rates since the deregulations on the federal government with cable. It's unfortunate. I think there's a big problem with a lot of citizens in the city, how much the rates are going up. But I'm not sure, but I'm just wondering if it's possible, and maybe we do have it now, a senior discount for our seniors at a certain age and above on their cable. I don't know if that could be worked in somehow. I don't believe they have it now, but I've heard other communities do offer a senior discount. It's not a lot of money, but every penny counts when you're on fixed incomes. That's one thing. The other thing I'd like to say is that the last contract that was signed was a 10-year contract. I think you ought to look at it, Mr. Mayor, if possible, no more than a 5-year contract. I don't see how we benefit, unless we're going to have a great benefit with a 10-year contract, but it's too long. I think 5 years is sufficient. That way, if they don't live up to the standards, we can come back in 5 years, at least it's a shorter period of time, to do some serious negotiations. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Mr. Dumont.
Councilman Zagorowski, I just want to let you know I did review the contract, and there is a provision there for senior discount. So the seniors in Chicopee should be getting a discount. There is a procedure to be followed, but there is a provision for receiving a senior discount.
Which a lot of people don't even know.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Mr. Michael.
If I may, I just have one comment to what Councilor Zagorowski said. We did discuss that a bit in our meeting, and we'll certainly take a look at it more. I know Chairperson Dumont will put it on the agenda for us. But just so the public knows, too, there is a process within the license by which the committee can request a hearing with Charter and address any ongoing problems that have been unresolved. So I just don't want the folks in the public to think that we sign a 10-year contract, put it in the drawer, and that Charter is not accountable. We do have recourse with, certainly the mayor's office can request that this committee gather and call folks from Charter forward. And that being said, there may still be value in keeping it at a 5-year. So we'll certainly take that under advisement. But I just don't want the folks to leave here tonight and think that there's no recourse after the contract is signed. We certainly have some teeth in that agreement with Charter.
Joe?
Yeah, just want to comment on the years of the contract as well. It's something we've looked at. We found that the overwhelming majority of communities throughout Massachusetts do have a 10-year contract regardless of who the cable provider is, but we are continuously looking at the positives and negatives of a 5-year or longer versus a 10-year, so that's something that we're looking at.
I just noticed a hand. If there's anyone else who would like to speak before, please come to the mic and again identify yourself, ma'am.
Again, my name is Kathy Shea. I forgot to mention before, but the gentleman brought it up. Yes, there is a discount for $5 for the 60-year-olds and above, but the only thing with that is because somebody else has mentioned about the boxes and stuff. We're supposed to get $5 off for senior discount, but then they charge us $5 for the box, and now they went up to $6, and they charge us that each and every month. And I've spoken to, the people and from Charter and different countries and different places, and I said I don't understand this. And at one time they were kind of like scared that people were going to switch out to Dish or something, and they gave it to us for a year and stuff for free, and then this past December it stopped. But I said to him, this is ridiculous. I mean, we get the box, so we should just pay at one time, not each and every single month. But we do get a $60 discount, but it's really not because we got to pay all the time and stuff. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
May I direct a question to Charter? What box is she referring to here? Do you know?
Use the microphone. I'm sorry.
Yeah, please.
Ms. Shea is referring to the cable box, the equipment.
Well, yes. Is she on analog? Is she using an analog television?
Ms. Shea, what service do you have with us?
I used to have the old television, and then they kept saying we all have to switch out to the...
Do you have digital services, Mrs. Shea?
Yeah, I have the
So then you have the cable digital box.
Yep.
So that's what you're paying for the equipment fee, which is the box. Yes.
Thank you. Well, thank you all for attending tonight's public ascertainment hearing. And good night.